The Danganronpa series seems to be one that grows with time. While not super popular at its release, over the years it's grown to have multiple games, a couple anime, a bunch of merchandise, manga, and a fan base that is super passionate about it, including me. With it celebrating its 10th anniversary this year, in a pretty weird year, I thought it'd be a good idea to turn back the clock to 2010, a simpler time, and look back at the first game in the series, Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. Danganronpa. Now before we get into the video, I just want to let you guys know that this is going to be more of a personal experience, retrospective type of deal, so if you're curious about the series, please don't watch this because it's going to be full of spoilers. There are a lot of great reviews out there that do an awesome job of letting you know if this is the type of game for you. But if you did play the game and you want to hear someone talk about it, you came to the right place, so sit tight. Let's get started. Now, Danganronpa for me started back in 2018. I remember playing Doki Doki Literature Club and enjoying a game that was just a lot more story focused. So I looked up other visual novels to play and was told about Danganronpa, Ace Attorney, Steins Gate. But something about Danganronpa's concept and art style really hooked me. I never really played a murder mystery game before, and having the concept of needing to kill someone and get away with it in order to leave was really cool. And again, the art style is beautiful with that game, so I was like, hey, this is a good place to start. I played this on Steam. I had like an old Lenovo laptop, and I don't know if it's because like of the laptop quality or Steam itself, but there was like a bug where it just wiped all my data at one point, and I was just really flustered because I was enjoying the game, and at this point I was just worried that it was just gonna get wiped again, so I had to rush through it, and by the end I had a massive headache. So yeah, my first playthrough was pretty bad, but luckily I think that bug's gone. I've played through it a little more on Steam and nothing's been wiped, so that's great. I got my little sister to play too, so going through the game again with someone else to react to this crazy story was really fun, so let's talk about it. At the beginning of the game, we're introduced to Makoto Naegi, who we will be playing as for the rest of the adventure. He's standing outside Hope's Peak Academy, a school for the ultimate students. These students are the best at what they do, and what's cool about that is that it's not limited to school subjects like math or social studies or science. They go out there a little more, and we have an ultimate baseball star, an ultimate fashionista, and an ultimate pop idol. And this is great because it means we can have more colorful characters. But now Makoto, he's very ordinary, and he tells us that a little too much, but he won a raffle and he is entering the school as the ultimate lucky student. Now this introduction to all the students, man, oh boy, is it long. They put you in the one room and you have to go through every single student's introduction. It would have been so much better if they were placed in different rooms in the school so that you can explore the school at the same time you're learning about these new characters. But after that we meet Monokuma. He sets up the name of the game, which is you gotta kill each other if you want to leave, but you gotta get away with it. So it sets up a very tense situation, which will then lead into Chapter 1.
Good morning, everyone! It is now 7 a.m. and nighttime is officially over. Time to rise and shine! Get ready to greet another beautiful day!
Now each chapter from here on out is split up into 3 sections. We have Daily Life, Deadly Life, and the Class Trial. Daily Life acts as a good balance to all the death you'll be seeing in this game. It's a way to talk to the students, learn more about the school, and just try to plan a way to get out of there. What I really like is that after every chapter, a new floor of the school opens up, so you're able to explore more and really uncover the secrets about Hope's Peak Academy and why you're trapped there. Although after a few days, Monokuma will pop up and give you guys a motive, a reason to try to get you guys to start killing. That leads to tension, and eventually you'll find someone dead. Hopefully it's not your favorite character. That leads into Deadly Life, where you'll be investigating the school, the crime scene, and just try to find out who this killer is. And then we get the main course of the game, the Class Trial. This part of the game was so interesting to me because it's like such an awesome take on having a simple argument. People will be having their testimonies come up, and when you find a lie in it, you get to shoot it down with a contradiction. It's so dynamic, the music is amazing, it's just so much fun. Now, shooting down lies in your opponent's testimonies is called the non-stop debate, but besides that, there are other mini-games in the trials as well, such as a rhythm mini-game and a mini-game where you'll try to find the missing letters to spell out a piece of evidence. And this all culminates in a final mini-game where you retell the murder. And that's pretty awesome, because with these trials being like over an hour long, it's really easy to forget some of the earlier details, so having a way to summarize the whole thing is a really nice way to wrap it all up. And then the murderer gets executed, and it leads into the next chapter. And these executions, man, they could be brutal. They really set the tone of just how deadly this game could be. So yeah, the chapters are set up pretty well. They all have their 3 distinct sections, and after playing the first chapter, the player should know what to expect. And then it's just up to the game at that point to tell a good murder mystery each chapter, on top of the full mystery of what's going on inside Hope's Peak Academy and who's controlling Monokuma. And this whole story is being told with just amazing music. The composer of this game, Masafumi Tadaka, just did an amazing job with this game. There's so many different emotions flowing through this game, and there's always a song to just bring it out so well. You have Beautiful Death, which is just a nice, calm, relaxing song. To Survive, which is a more like stressful type of song to really like get you in a hurry and all flustered. You have the 100-mile junk food dash. Very fun name for a song, to just give you like that sense of unease. And then you have Welcome to Despair for some of those more somber and sad moments, mostly playing after someone dies at the end of a trial, and then you're just sitting there wondering, where do we go from here? The music at this game just does a great job of just bringing out the emotion of a scene, and man, even after the game ended, I still would listen to those songs, and even to this day. And if you're not interested in the game at all, I could at least recommend the soundtrack. It's worth listening to on its own. But all of this music and story would be nothing if it wasn't held together with a fun cast of characters, and boy, we have a lot to talk about with 15 different students, technically 16 if you count Mukuro, but that is a lot of people to keep track of. I was very nervous going into this game because with a cast of characters that big, how do you flesh them out? You know, I've played games where there have been smaller casts of characters, and even then there would be a few that were left by the wayside. So how do you take 16 students and give them all distinct personalities and still have them be worth something? And that's where the ultimate talents come in. By giving a student an ultimate talent, you're able to just have their personality just be pushed right in your face. When you have someone like Sakura, it's like, yep, that's a fighter. And their designs bring out their ultimate talent so well. Like, if you hear their ultimate talent and you look at their design, you say, yep, that makes sense. Although that could lead into a double-edged sword, because when you have a trait of an ultimate talent plastered onto a character, it's really hard to write that character more than just a stereotypical version of what they're the ultimate of. Luckily, with a game like Danganronpa where you have just these mysteries that are really doing the talking, you don't really need the character to be that deep, because in the end, it's really just all of these archetypes reacting to the crazy situations each mystery puts them in, rather than each archetype growing over the course of the game. Let's go through each chapter and just talk about the characters and the mysteries themselves. So chapter 1 is the first chapter. It's going to teach you about most of the game. Your tutorial for this chapter will be Sayaka Maizono, the ultimate pop sensation, who also lets you know that she was a childhood friend of yours. And that's really cool. I like that there's a connection between Makoto and Sayaka. Unfortunately, the chapter really focuses on Sayaka to the point where you're like, she has to be the one to die first. They don't really give attention to any other characters. You're really just talking to Sayaka the whole time. So showing Sayaka off to the player a lot is kind of like a giveaway that she's gonna die first, but I really like that the game kind of tries to subvert that by saying she's like your assistant. Like, that was really smart. I actually fell for that. I was like, okay, then she can't die, but then she does, and I was like, oh, you pulled a good one on me, Spike Chunsoft. And the way she was murdered too, I must be dumb, because apparently so many people found out like it was Leon from the 11037 thing on the wall. I just thought it was a number. My little sister played it, who's like much younger than me, and she saw it and she's like, Leah. I'm like, oh, those are numbers. Like, trying to not have her ruin the mystery for her. But man, that just never hit me. So during the investigation though, we lost Junko. Dude, I really liked Junko. I like how much she subverted expectations. Like, when you see her, you think, oh, she's just gonna be a model character that's full of herself. But no, like, she tells you that, oh, it's, you know, no one's really perfect. It's just editing, you know, I'm not that good looking. And I thought that's really cool, you know, because I think with modeling, you can make so many people feel worse about themselves. So by having the model character kind of be like, you know, yeah, no one's that pretty. It was really, like natural feeling. It wasn't just some over-the-top model character. And then when you do a free time event, she's just talking about her friends and stuff, and it's like, I like this a lot. She feels like a real character. Of course, you know, later in the game we find out it's just Mukuro, and I was like, well, I like Mukuro, Junko. But we'll talk more about Junko later. It turns out the killer for chapter 1 though was Leon, and Leon, man, oh my goodness, like, poor guy. Like, I didn't know a thing about him. He barely talks in the main story. Free time events are pretty good though. You learn that he really doesn't like baseball, which is his ultimate talent. So it's like, okay, that's cool. And you know, his design really doesn't give off someone of a baseball player anyway. So having a character kind of denounce their ultimate talent, I thought that was really cool. It's a shame because even in the main story, Leon really doesn't do anything. And it's such a wasted opportunity. I feel like that's the worst part about being a chapter 1 killer or killed, because it's so hard to flesh you out. Like, Sayaka's only really worked out because she was just at your side the entire chapter. But for Leon, man, it's just like, you just died. It's like, well, darn. At least they got to use his ultimate talent with the murder. I thought that was really cool. There aren't really a lot of murders in the Danganronpa series that take advantage of their ultimate talents for the murder itself. So having him, like, throw the crystal ball because he was the ultimate baseball pro, that was really smart. I feel like the ultimate talents placed on characters are really just used to give them a personality, but actually using that ultimate talent in the game itself to, like, push the story forward is really good. And Leon's, like, the only character in the game that does that, so there's another point for him, I guess. Chapter 2, though, has to be my favorite chapter in the game. It just tells a really good story of strength. And the two characters they use to pull off the story of strength is just perfect, because you have Chihiro, who is, you know, very weak physically, and then you have Mondo, who, you know, besides Sakura is like the strongest person there, is very weak mentally. And you learn that at the end of the trial. And having Monokuma have the motive of having someone's secret be released, and then seeing Chihiro use that to make them a stronger person, because while Chihiro may look like a girl, Chihiro is actually a guy who thought he was too frail to be a guy. So using that knowledge of the secret being released, and then using that as motivation, and then bringing that to Mondo, who is on the outer layer very strong, but his secret is that his brother's dead, and he can't imagine letting that out. And then seeing Chihiro, just so much stronger than him, unleashing a rage that he never intended to let out. Wow, it's just such a strong story. And even besides like the general story of it, just hearing about Mondo's brother, and then hearing about Chihiro's inferiority complex, it's really great to see Chihiro try and overcome that, but then also just feel the hurt of Mondo like falling because of that. Besides the trial itself, I really liked Mondo as a character. He was just funny. I really wish he had more time to develop. At the beginning, he really comes across as just like a loudmouth, you know, always cursing and all that, but as the game goes on, he gets nicer to you guys, and you know, he starts sticking up for you because, you know, Byakuya is also like picking on you guys. It's nice to see. And then when you, with his free time events, you see that like, you know, he doesn't have too many friends, and he just wants someone to like just help him with the issue of like what to do with his life after high school because his grades aren't that great. Mondo was a really likable character, and I feel like he's not super popular in the fandom, but I really liked Mondo, and it was a shame to see him go. I was really upset about that, and he will just be known as the butter guy because of his executions, so what are you gonna do? So at this point in the game, like, all my favorite characters are gone. And I know that's par for the course with Danganronpa, but like the first 2 chapters, man, like, come on. Mondo's gone, Chihiro's gone, Junko's gone. I know people hate Sayaka. Like, people do not like Sayaka because, you know, she betrayed you. I didn't mention this, but obviously if you played it, you already knew that, she meant to kill Leon in your room, so it looks like you did it, and then pin the blame on you. But she was just so sweet, and I love her design, and she at least tries to make it up to at the end. I don't know, I like Sayaka, okay? I'm sorry, but all my favorite characters are dead. Get me some slack, please. So then on top of all my favorite characters being dead, we lead into a really dumb chapter. I'm sorry if you guys like are gonna hate me for that. I do not like this chapter. It's not the worst in the game for me, but I don't like this one. So Chihiro just dies, but they also, since she's the ultimate programmer, there is an AI of her. And I thought this was kind of dumb because I thought it was like, well, Chihiro's dead, so you're not really feeling the impact of his death because there's just an AI of him. But it actually sets up a really interesting predicament of like trying to hide secrets from Monokuma, who's like controlling the whole school, but also Chihiro, being an AI, can now hack into the database and try to find out secrets of Hope's Peak, because again, that's what you're working for throughout the game. So yeah, that was pretty cool, I guess, but also I still think it took away from the impact of Chihiro's death, because it's just like, oh, Chihiro's dead, but he's kind of right here too, you know? But besides that, the robot being like a kill is so silly. And I get it's a silly chapter because like Hifumi's like the main character for it. I don't like Hifumi. I'm sorry, I really don't like Hifumi. It's funny because I was in a Danganronpa group on Facebook, of all places I know, but I remember it was either me or someone like expressed their dislike of Hifumi, and someone replied to me, because I guess I said something with, the people who dislike Hifumi are the ones who are most like him in real life, and I was like, I mean, I guess I like games and stuff, but I'm actually happy because I did his free time events, and he's a giant elitist who like hates casuals, and that's like the worst. Like, no, I don't like Hifumi. He's so annoying. I know he's just comic relief, but I don't like Hifumi. I'm sorry. No. Taka also died in the dude, Taka's a missed opportunity. People really like Taka, and I'm like, why? His free time events really don't do anything. They just go ahead and show you that he follows the rules, but he also made a friend. But like, they do the whole like transformation thing, because what was cool with the Chihiro AI is that it also shows Taka, who's just broken up from Mondo, who became his friend throughout the game. And then he gets like the white hair, and he like becomes a whole new person. And I think that's a reference to like an anime. I think it's like Tokyo Ghoul or something. Let me know. But it's like he does this big transformation. It's okay, cool. We're gonna see how this character grows, because like I said earlier, with characters like having this very one-note personality and also some dying very early, It's hard for characters to really grow and develop, but Taka is, and then he just dies, and it's like, what was the point of the transformation if he's just gonna die? I really didn't like how they just killed him off, and he's also not even like the main topic of the murder. Like, you're talking about how Ifumi moved around for the whole trial, and it's Taka deserved better. I just wanted to see his development. Like, I thought it would be so cool if, like, maybe, you know, he could just be rude for this chapter, but then later on he becomes like more balanced, like someone who could be rude, like have a backbone a little bit, but still stand to his morals. But no, he just died, and I think it's such a waste of him. This was the one chapter in the game that got spoiled for me when I initially played it. Like, I knew Celeste was the killer, but I don't know, it's weird, like, Celeste never had like an impact on me. Her free time events are like really bad for me. They just say, I'm a gambler, look at who I gambled. Like, you don't really learn anything substantial. She's a fine character, but she was kind of just there. Like, she didn't really do anything. I remember she talked a lot. Like, she had a presence in the game. Like, she wasn't someone who just blended in the background, but she, like, I don't know, Celeste never had like a real impact on me. I really like her design. That's about it. So overall, the chapter was fine. I mean, they did a double murder, which was a first for the game, so it's like definitely getting you like, oh shoot, we gotta worry about 2 people now, but unfortunately that just leads to Taka being kind of ignored. The robot suit was just silly. Like a robot roaming the school, because if Celeste had a picture of Hifumi with the robot on him, it was really out of place. Like, there's a new mystery man in the school now, and he's a giant robot. I think you could have told a stronger story by just having a silent killer going through the school, instead of just this goofy costume. However, things do pick up with Chapter 4, which is another really good chapter. It's really just the Sakura chapter. I love Sakura as a character, man. She's another character that isn't just, here's my archetype, I'm a fighter. Her free time events really do talk about like how much the fighting means to her and how she wants to get stronger than the one person that's better than her, which was fine. But also, like, throughout the game, you just see, like, even though she's like super tough on the outside, she's such a nice character, man. And then Chapter 4 just brings that out so much with her being outed as the spy for Monokuma. If no one killed in the beginning, she would be the one to kill, because he had her like blackmailed for her dojo being shut down if she didn't listen. And then you just see her trying to be nice to everyone, and throughout the trial you learn that everyone just like didn't care and just hit her with the glass bottles until she killed herself. And it's like, it's so sad. Like, it's such a sad chapter, and to see Sakura go out like that, and just seeing Aoi just like being so affected by Sakura's death. Sakura was such a great character in this game, definitely one of my favorites for sure. And then we just get to my least favorite chapter of the game, Chapter 5. It's so there. It doesn't really feel like the game's trying to tell you a mystery with this one. It feels like it's just moving the plot up to the 6th chapter. Introduced Mukuro, who was the masked killer, and the trial is just all over the place. It's cool that they introduced a branching path at the end of the trial by pursuing Kyoko or letting her go. That was really cool. But yeah, the trial, this whole chapter just feels like a prelude to the 6th chapter, which is the final chapter in the game. So I don't think it's that controversial to say this is my least favorite one. You don't even really find out about the body, because it's leading into the 6th chapter. So let's talk about that 6th chapter. This chapter was actually really fun. It really is just a really long investigation, and you get to just see all of these new rooms for Hope's Peak Academy. It was really cool seeing about Kyoko's dad, about those lockers with the stuff from the students at the time, and just slowly getting the pieces to the mystery, but also not fully understanding it, so that the final trial could just answer all those questions for you. I remember at the time being slightly disappointed at the ending. Unfortunately, I spoiled Junko being the bad guy again, because I remember at the time saying, like, man, it's a shame I never got to see Junko in a trial, because I really liked her as a character. And she's the main villain. I wish she had more of a motive, though. for trapping everyone in the school. It seems like she's just doing it because she loves despair. But I feel like when you have such a complex concept of trapping ultimate talents in a school to kill them, just to dash out hope, like what's the reason for that? I really would have liked to know more about Junko as a character and why she's doing the things she does. So that was a little weird. Like, what makes her the villain? You know, what gives her the importance of a villain status over someone like Sayaka? I would have really liked to see why Junko was the choice to be the villain, and why she is a better villain than if another student had that spotlight. But even when you find out what's going on outside the school, I feel like that was really underwhelming. Like, you find out, oh, the world might be doomed. Why is everyone wearing these masks? What leads to this uprising? Why is the world in chaos? And they just say despair. It's despair. And it's like, yeah, but why? You know, I wish there was more of an answer to, like, what's outside. And I wish it was just slightly more specific than just, oh, it's just doomed. A lot of the secrets come with the school itself and the memories and the realization of, oh my god, I've been killing my classmates that I've been with for 2 years. That was really heart-wrenching. That was a really sad reveal. And everything else I feel like was just very, very standard. You know, this is something you could tell will definitely be built upon with more games. And with that, it leads us with our survivors. You get yourself, Makoto. Kyoko is really cool. She was pretty cold throughout the game. I wish she became a little warmer towards the cast by the end of it. She does get there a little bit, but Kyoko is just very silent. You know, she's very cool, very calm and collected. I would just like to see a little more emotion from her. Her free time events show that a little bit too. But she gets a lot of attention throughout the story, so I don't think the free time events really add too much to her character. Overall, she's a really good, like, main character, because honestly, even though Makoto would technically be the main character, Kyoko is really the one moving the plot along and, like, deciding what to do next and discovering all these mysteries, while you're kind of there too, but she's running the trials. You know, Kyoko is the main character, along with Byakuya, the ultimate affluent prodigy. He's a rich boy, and he is a likable antagonist. I remember throughout the game being like, Byakuya, you're such a jerk, because he just holds so much power by the way he holds himself and the way he goes throughout the game, just saying like, I don't need anyone else, you know, I have this, I got this, I will win this game. And the free time events make it so much cooler, because you realize the way he became the ultimate affluent prodigy is because he won a death game of his own siblings. Like, that's crazy. And have that translate into the death game you're playing right now, it's really interesting. It really added a good layer to his character. And when you finally get to the end of the game where Byakuya is more warmed up to you, he becomes a lot nicer to you guys. And in the final trial where you're fighting against Monokuma, it's really, really cool to have him, like, on your side for once, instead of just antagonizing you. So yeah, Byakuya is awesome. And then we get Byakuya's girl, Toko. I didn't like Toko that much. I'm really sorry. I know people like Toko, but she's so mean, you know? And I get that's like, oh yeah, but she's supposed to be. But like, I don't enjoy that. She has the split personality with Genocide Jack. Genocide Jack's really fun. She was introduced pretty early, and she's not in the game too much, so what's cool about that is that you don't get overexposed to Genocide Jack, so whenever she does show up, it's like, oh man, this is gonna be fun. And the interaction she has with Junko is just priceless. It's so funny, and it's such a small little thing, but it's just hilarious. But Toko herself, she's just kind of boring. I would have liked to see Toko have a little more, like, backbone for herself. I know that's, like, the point of Genocide Jack, like, to be the opposite of Toko and be, like, really assertive. I would have liked to see Toko herself grow a little more and, like, not just, like, fawn over Byakuya the whole game. Maybe, like, you know, find worth in herself a little more. But she doesn't really grow that much throughout the game. She's kind of just there. Just there for Byakuya, and I feel like she could have been more than that. And then we have Aoi. This is my sister's favorite character, and Aoi's really fun. I just wish Aoi was affected more by Sakura's death. Aoi's the ultimate swimmer, Sakura's the ultimate martial artist. You know, they are both athletic, they're really close friends. When Sakura dies, Aoi is really affected by it. You see her crying, but she never really changes? And it's weird because she didn't need a change. Aoi was always the very upbeat and optimistic character. She's honestly a lot like Makoto. So Sakura dying doesn't really change her character because she's already willing to move forward and willing to find the answer to a mystery. I think character deaths affect someone like Taka, who, you know, were already very stern, and then having Mondo, who's just the complete opposite of that, make Taka change to be more like Mondo, where he's a little less strict. But Aoi was a nice girl, Sakura was a nice girl. It doesn't really change Aoi's character. It just changes Aoi's reasoning for wanting to be optimistic to just be, oh, I'm doing it for Sakura, instead of, I'm doing this because that's what my character would have done anyway. Also, I feel like a character death would be much more beneficial to the last survivor with Yasuhiro. Yasuhiro is just there. He's just the goof. He's very lax, and I get that's the point. And there's really no one in the game who he's really close friends with. But I feel like if they wrote someone in to be really meaningful to Yasuhiro die throughout the Killing game, that would have been really good for his character, because then he could like take trials more seriously, and especially in the ending where you're trying to find out the secrets of Hope's Peak, he could be there along with Kyoko, Aoi, Toko, Byakuya, and you trying to find the answers instead of just like chilling there. I feel like Yasuhiro, much more than Aoi, needed the character motivation because Aoi was already good. Yasuhiro's the one that really needed to be more motivated to like find the answers to Hope's Peak secrets, but instead he goes through no development with this game. He's the same character, and his free time events don't do anything for him. And I think that's a problem with the free time events in general. The free time events remind me a lot of Fire Emblem support conversations, where in that game you also have a huge cast of characters, and in order to give every character more of a character, they use support conversations, which is, you know, a little optional thing where you can have characters talk to each other and learn more about the characters in general. In Danganronpa, the free time events are there so you, as Makoto, can talk to each character and learn more about them. The problem with that is that they're not even balanced in a good way. In the beginning, again, Sayaka has 2, which really don't tell you anything. And I get that because she dies first, but Yasuhiro and Aoi have 6, and they're all over the place. Yasuhiro doesn't really tell you anything of importance with each one until the ending, where he tells you why he charges so much money for his readings. But Aoi, it's like, she tells you that she loves donuts. She tells you that she loves to swim. There's a conversation about ramen. Why? I mean, ramen's fine, but why? And then in the end, she's talking about being a good girlfriend. It's so all over the place, and it's a fine way to flesh out the character, but the conversation itself doesn't flow well. I thought it was good with Sayaka to have 2, because then you're cutting out more unnecessary stuff, but as it proves with Yasuhiro and Aoi, they're very much just there. I think they could have taken a page from Fire Emblem even more by having a mode where you could see them talk to other characters besides Makoto, and they doesn't have to be every character, just like 2 or 3, but you can have those other conversations touch on another topic of that character, and just give them more conversations. I think a character like Celeste, who really doesn't change that much, could benefit from having different conversations with different students, and then talk about different character aspects about herself, and that could also help characters like Aoi, who talk about so many different things that you could just have a dedicated conversation for each of them with a different character. But this is the first game in the series. I think it's good enough that we have free time events, because it is a way to just learn more about characters, even if it's just one aspect. And honestly, it is just good that we have a way to learn more about characters in the first place, because I don't think I'd care about some of the characters as much as I did without those free time events fleshing out certain aspects of them. Danganronpa is a crazy game, and some of the trials they put you in with the mysteries are really out of the box and leave you guessing until the very end. I remember in Trial 2 where I just thought it was Byakuya because he's helping you out so much. He must be the killer. But no, it actually is Mondo, and he's revealed in the most natural way possible. He just has a random slip-up, and that's what convinces him. And with Sakura, with the different glasses and the different weights, there's so many aspects of these trials that are just so well thought out. It's such a good game. This game does an amazing job of just setting what the Danganronpa series is in stone. It's not gonna go completely crazy with the ending, but it literally at the end leaves the door open for much more possibilities and much more crazy storytelling, with Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc merely being the beginning to an even larger story. Well, thank you, Danganronpa, for all the memories. Trigger Happy Havoc might not be my personal favorite for the series, but it definitely set the stage for me to enjoy the visual novel genre as a whole, and it did its job really well. I wish I had more stuff to put up for Danganronpa. I only have this hat that I knocked over before, and it's being held up by a Zero Suit Samus amiibo. If you behind the scenes look, it's still in the box because I already have one. It's just my friend got me this one, so I'm sorry, Mike. Thank you for the gift, though. But yeah, I have this hat. It's really cool. It's Monokuma, and he got his teeth on the bottom, so if I want to be an edgy boy, you know. I don't like to wear this too much in public, though, because it's white, and it's so easy to just mess up white clothing. If I get just any type of dirt on this, it'll just be ruined, and I'm too afraid to do that. Also, I have a really big head. Not a big head, but I don't do too well in hats, so this is more so just for me to brag that I have Danganronpa merchandise. I gotta get a plush or something. But thank you guys for watching my next video. I wanted to do something special for Danganronpa's 10th anniversary, and you know, we had to start with the first game, right? You know, this started it all, and it holds up really well 10 years later. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys want to hear me talk about another game, let me know. I've played a bunch, so it's got to be something to talk about. I want to do something other than a visual novel next time. I'm actually a really big fan of Pokemon, so I was thinking about doing one of those games. So if you guys looking forward to that, stick around, and who knows, we got to talk about Danganronpa 2 one day, so stick around for that as well. So until then, I hope you guys have all a great night, and I hope whatever game you're playing now, it's bringing you as much joy as Danganronpa did for me.